Good evening, Nigeria, and welcome to Politics Now on LN 24/7. I am Morno Balagbobo coming to you live from our studio here in Abuja. Tonight, we're tackling two seismic stories shaking Nigeria's political core. Let's look at our first topic today. We're looking at the Edo Governorship Election appeal court ruling. And of course, the appeal court ruling in Edo State, the appeal court has cemented the APC's Monday Okpebholo as governor, but PDP's Asui Godolo is storming to the Supreme Court. Is this a fight for political justice or a political dead end? Let's run through our talking points tonight. First, we'll look at electoral integrity. Does the appeal court's ruling strengthen or weaken trust in Nigeria's elections? Secondly, we'll look at PDP's strategy. Is the Supreme Court push a fight for justice or a risky move for 2027? Finally, we'll also examine APC's dominance. Does Okpebholo's victory signal a stronger APC in Edo for 2027? Well, our guests tonight are from Edo State. Political analyst Bobby Egbosa, and of course a supporter of the Ihodolo team, and of course our comrade Collins Osage, an APC stalwart from Edo State, will be joining us on the show today. Then our second conversation today will focus on President Bola Tinubu's anniversary. 2 years anniversary, 2 years in office, and also a look at the ECOWAS summit in Lagos. He declared Nigeria's worst is over. Well, of course, with soaring inflation and a fractured ECOWAS, is his optimism a vision or a mirage? Let's look at our talking points. First, we'll look at economic reforms. Are Tinubu's policies delivering results or deepening Nigeria's economic woes? On ECOWAS leadership, can Tinubu stabilize ECOWAS amid the Sahel nations' exit? And 2027 ambition, is Tinubu's optimism resonating with Nigerians? Our guest tonight is none other than Arome Ageye, a public policy analyst, and he will be helping us unpack all our conversation surrounding the president's 2 year in office and, of course, the ECOWAS summit in Lagos, Nigeria. This is Politics Now. We'll dive in on this after the break. Do stay with us. What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues? The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join LN 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
Watch Politics Now on LN 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now.
Glad to know you're still with us. Well, on May 29th, the Court of Appeal in Abuja delivered a landmark ruling affirming APC Senator Monday Okpebholo as Edo State's governor and dismissing PDP's Asui Godolo's challenge over the September 2024 election. The court ruled the vote was substantially fair, but the PDP, backed by outgoing Governor Godwin Obaseki, calls it a travesty and is headed to the Supreme Court. With Edo's political future and the 2027 elections looming, what does this mean for Nigeria's democracy? Let's go straight to our first election. But before that, let's take a look at some infographics. So let's look at the timeline of the election. September 21st, 2024, INEC declared APC's Monday Okpebholo winner with 376,000 votes plus, of course. And then PDP's Asui Godolo's votes total was 324,209. And on April 2nd, 2025, Edo Tribunal dismissed PDP's petition for insufficient evidence. And the appeal court, of course, ruled and affirmed Okpebholo's victory. The next step for the PDP is to appeal at the highest court of the land, that's the Supreme Court. So let's take a look at Edo election statistics. The voter turnout at the last election was 24.5%. Yes, 2.2 million registered voters, 540,000 voted in that election. The contracts there, quite shocking, if you ask me. Now, APC's margin of victory, 51,898 votes. That's a 13.8% lead. What are the alleged irregularities? 162 polling units reported. That's the claims from the PDP. And of course, some of our sources there. But let's take a look at some of the reactions at the court. This is coming from Edo State PDP Chairman Tony Eziegbemi, and of course the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Dennis Idahosa. Let's have the sound bites.
We would request that our members stay calm. We will get the CTC. The lawyers will advise. The lawyers will go through it. We will go through it, and nothing stops us from heading to the Supreme Court. And there are so many grounds for the appeal to the Supreme Court. So finally, we wish to tell our members, let the hope keep.
Aswin Godalo, to embrace this judgment, and let's come together as one family to develop Edo. That's what we stand for. But I will not stop without congratulating my principal, the Executive Governor of Edo State. That's Senator Monday Okpewulu, and the amazing people of Edo who voted for us. Congratulations to all of you, and God bless you all.
Now, the appeal court ruled the Edo election was substantially fair, finding no compelling evidence of vote rigging, yet with only 24.5% voter turnout and PDP's claims of irregularities in 162 polling units, trust in Nigeria's electoral process is under intense scrutiny, and that is why we are having a conversation tonight. Can these ruling restore confidence? I mean, did it? Or does it deepen public doubts? Well, let's head to our guests. We have Collins joining us all the way from Edo State. Thank you so much, Collins, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my brother. It's nice having you.
Bobby joining us. Good to have you with us, Bobby. And let's start from Bobby. Give us your initial reaction.
Thank you very much for having me, Monobala Koko. What I want to say here is that the recent judgment that has been passed by the Federal Court of Appeal from the Mohamed Dajuma-led team has deepened the public doubt on the Nigerian justice system, has deepened public doubt on the democratic tenets for which Nigeria as a nation should stand for, and has further raised eyebrows amongst vast majority of Nigerians that they no longer believe in the judiciary as the last hope of the common man. The Electoral Act, which was passed in May 2022, Section 137, subsection 1-2, states that if any aggrieved party in any elective position or any election is able to bring the certified true copies from the Independent National Electoral Commission, that certified true copy, if found authentic and valid from INEC, should be admissible in court, and as such petition does not require evidence to further substantiate such claims. This is the position of the law.
So let's get to Collins. Bobby will come to you. The APC hails this as a fair election. So how do you counter these allegations, especially with such low voter turnout after the election back in September 2024? So I'm sure you want to counter what Bobby has said. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. First, the low turnout you saw in the election was owed to Obaseki kind of administration when he was a governor. People have completely lost hope in governance. Many of those voters who would have voted, some he has finished completely demoralizing them as citizens. So they really didn't want to have any reason to participate. But for the few you saw that came out passionately because they wanted to vendetta Obaseki administration and completely send him away. And indeed, sending him away in proxy because he was not directly contesting. He was bringing his handbag and his best friend, Aswan Igodalo, who, by virtue of his alignment in the stock exchange and many other business they have been doing together, was completely strange to Edo people. In fact, this was a complete alien to them. This guy has never been with us, has not lived with us, doesn't know our pain. Why should we come out and just like that because an incumbent governor says so? Not an incumbent governor that has performed. So for very many reasons, Edo people rejected Obaseki's candidate, rejected PDP because PDP was completely divided into pieces in Benin, in Edo as at that time, even worse than it was now in the national. So there was nothing really of PDP. For PDP to have even garnered some votes they had, it was by grace and some manipulation in their own quarter, that actually gave them that opportunity. So it's good and fine. Now you have seen that the people's voice have been reaffirmed by tribunal, reaffirmed by the Court of Appeal, and they want to go to the Supreme Court. It's good and fine. We are waiting for them there, but actually, they are actually wasting the commoners' money, whom they are begging from door to help them raise money for court issues. Because it's another way for them to steal from the people and from those they have always come. So they are telling them we are in court, we will win. Come on, bring more money, and they are siphoning people. They are begging them, collecting money from them, giving them opportunities that when they win, they will give them positions, they will give them contracts, and that is a daydream which can never come to reality.
All right, now, Bobby, the PDP claims irregularities in over 160 polling units. So what specific evidence do you believe was overlooked or continues to be overlooked because we're coming past from the tribunal this time around? And how should the Supreme Court address it?
Specific evidences that were overlooked are that there was inflation of vote figures in favor of APC in the local government where I come from, in Oedo local government area of Edo State. Oedo local government area of Edo State pulled out the largest vote cast in the 2024 Edo Gubernatorial elections. In Ego, they also manipulated, there was a evidential proof that there were massive irregularities and manipulation of electoral figures in the overall local government area. All in Edo South, after Igodalo won those 3 local government areas landslide. Even in Edo North, in places like Esako West, Esako East, Onwan West, vote figures were grossly manipulated. In Akoko Edo, they so did it in such a way that they now inflated the figures to be more than that of Oredo, which begs the question, what is now the headway for democracy and the Nigerian judiciary system? Because Nigerians currently are seeing this as a blatant rape on our democracy, as a constant and a consistent and a calculated attempt to further deepen public's disbelief, dismay, displeasure in our electoral system and our nascent democracy. And like what Right Honorable Dr. Tony Asibim said, that the PDP will seek redress at the Supreme Court. And many persons have also gone to town to say that of what use will such redress be, considering the fact that the recent activities from the Nigerian judiciary system can be termed what some of us see as legislative rascality. The Nigerian judiciary is no longer the hope of the common man in practicality and in reality. It is only in Nigeria that the Independent National Electoral Commission is not truly independent, because INEC refused to adhere to its guidelines by not following the Electoral Act to the latter. So Nigerians are beginning to question what is now the way forward for this little baby nascent democracy that we are practicing, and what becomes of our Nigerian judicial system subsequently, sir? If people can no longer get positive outcomes from elections, and moreover,
How does the 24.5% turnout reflect public trust in INEC? I mean, coming back from last year, and what reforms would you suggest would restore voter confidence? I mean, because this is very disappointing. I recall yesterday I tried making calls to some of the PDP chieftains in Edo State, but I mean, they're so saddened by the news of this development. So let's have your say.
if you notice, the 24.5% of voters turnout is a further justification that the vast majority of Nigerians are no longer comfortable, happy, and pleased with our electoral system and processes. The fact speaks for themselves. Res issa loquitur, as the Latin Martin says. And Nigeria, the vast majority in that small percentage, which is less than 50%, also came out to say that in as much as the Nigerian political class has failed, however, there are still few competent individuals that they can give their political collective patrimony and trust in. And one of them is Dr. Aswe Igodalo. It's where the majority of that 24.5% came out on March on the 21st of September 2024 to cast their votes and ballots for Dr. Aswe Igodalo. And what he pretends for the way forward and the reform is that INEC should be completely restructured. The Independent National Electoral Commission should begin to become more independent in practicality. Or if it cannot be independent, it should be scrapped and replaced with a more functional independent body, a more functional national independent electoral body that can conduct free, fair, credible elections for the benefit and interest of the vast majority of Nigerians.
We heard from PDP chairman Azegbemi. The party is rallying for a Supreme Court appeal, framing it as a fight for justice. But with Edo being a battleground, is this a bold stand or a risky move that our voters could alienate voters ahead of 2027? That's a very, very important question. But we'll come to you, Bobby. Let me get back to Collins. Now, if the Supreme Court upholds the ruling, could the PDP's persistence cost them support in Edo State by 2027?
There is no way the Supreme Court, I'm not preempting, but also having a brief idea of what the law says. The Supreme Court cannot push something on nothing. PDP have nothing on ground. You said the election was invalid. And there, because the election was invalid, INEC did not conduct the election in a proper manner. So for you, the election is invalid. And how can the same court now come in and affirm you to be the winner when even you by your fiat have said the election was invalid? So an election that is invalid cannot certainly produce after Igodalo. So there is no way, no matter even if the judge or the jurists that are there were just wanting to become a jurist, they can't even make that mistake in the first place. So we are very confident because the people voted for Senator Modu Kwebolo and his deputy, to become governor, and that because have helped us to affirm. Supreme Court cannot do otherwise. Nigerian Supreme Court is not a child's play. It's not where you just go and metaphor your own imagination. Because one, the appeal court was also very fair. So even say for the lower court, which is the tribunal, to have even admitted a beavers that were brought in that nobody even know if those beavers were functional, if those beavers were their own. There was no proof to show that those were even the beavers that was used for the election. And there was no defense to that effect. They just brought it and dumped in there and said, oh, we have brought materials. Just like the way Obi was packing Ghana must go and everything to the court when he was also in tribunal. You don't do that. It's not by trying to draw sentiment and sympathy on the street. By saying, oh, these are all evidence. The evidence put together, we're not taken to trash because they contain nothing. And the God of appeal in his own wisdom said even that thing that you admitted, we threw it away. It was never admitted. It will never be counted as an exercise that happened in the court jurisprudence. That can you imagine that kind of insult? That is the highest humiliation that anyone could get. If I was answering Udalo, my brother, with all this has happened, you need to take another 4 years and go and start learning your language, Isha. Tell people to start teaching you. You use another 4 years to learn your language, know your people. And even when you were backing every day, they were giving you a piece of paper because you were not hearing Isha, probably, or even hearing our local dialect here. You didn't know what they were saying. They were just giving you that, oh, this is a paper we gather. We don't know if there's anything valid inside or not. Then you just took it and gave it to your lawyer. And before that time, they have been ranting everywhere in Edo that after Godalo had one of the best courts in the world. And he has never lost a case. But we have never heard of any case he has won. That this one, they will tell Nigerians and the APC that they have a law firm that is superlative. Now the law firm has come to even show that everything they have been doing, all the money they made, were on the basis of scam because they don't really have anything upstairs. How can you go with
Bobby, so why is the Supreme Court appeal critical for the PDP? And what evidence could sway the justices?
The reality of what we are facing in Edo State is that the FPC is part of the state capture plans for Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu and its party leadership to capture the South-South and make Nigeria generally a one-party state. But not just the PDP will resist this. The majority of the good people of Edo State will not support to that philosophy because we believe that in democracy there should be healthy rivalry from opposition parties. And now, what the deputy governor is doing is only trying to play political theatrics to preach the gospel of political inclusivity, whereas in reality they want all those people to support APC by all means. And that is why they are going from state to state to capture these states into their political fold, so that at the end of the day, they will use these political structures to make sure that they asphyxiate the democratic process in 2027. It is out there for the public to see. So Edo people are a unique population. Edo people, they are very politically savvy, they are intelligent, they understand what the issues are, and by the special grace of God, in 2027, Edo people will take their destiny in their hands, likewise the vast majority of Nigerians. Because Edo State is not meant for one political party. Nigeria is not meant for one political party. Nigeria belongs to Nigerians. Edo State belongs to the good people of Edo State. And what the deputy governor is saying, he is only giving his political opinion as far as I'm concerned. Because the majority of the people, when they go to their polling units and what, when they go to their respective local governments to cast their vote, they actually know what to do. In 2027, Edo State will come out on March to cast their vote for whoever they choose to support and vote for. Edo people can never be cowed. Edo people can never be swindled. Edo people can never be coerced. Edo people can never be talked into supporting or subscribing to a one-party political philosophy. No, and it will never happen. And in 2027, the majority of Edo people, and most importantly, the majority of Nigerians will come out and show through their votes and their cohesive political patrimony and unity that Edo State and Nigeria belongs to Edolites and belongs to Nigerians respectively.
Now, with the APC's victory now judicially affirmed, as the Deputy Governor Idahosa's call for unity suggests that the party is poised to strengthen its grip on Edo, a state that they lost in 2020. But can they govern inclusively, or will PDP strongholds push back? Let's bring in Collins. Now, Collins, how will Okpebelu's administration work with PDP strongholds to deliver on Idahosa's call for unity?
what perception did PDP take when Obaseki asked us to come out for local government election? And at the end of the day, he beats everybody up. Ordinary local government election where he was on the governor, he could not even bring ballot paper and ballot was out. Because the people came out massively, they wanted to teach him lessons at that time. And they had to go and wait for him at the front, which was the message that caught up with them. And when in the last general election, when PDP completely failed in the first election in all the senatorial districts, House of Rep, Senate, and everything, the presidential election, what did he do in the House of Assembly? He even lost everything. He had to hijack some few constituencies that was remaining at all costs to make sure, they declared his candidate winner. Beating up people, shooting guns. That was the sitting governor who told them he was a technocrat. And he had experience across the world. And you could not put it to bed. All you did, you were even worse than Agbero that we met here. It's not when shouting Agbero. Their actions as leaders, for example, though he's not more a leader, he's a former leader to people that once believed in him, because he actually came, derailed the political system, even in Nigeria. His attitude metaphors to Nigeria. Even check out the primaries they did in their party. Obaseki was the spearheader that destroyed PDP from bottom to above. Let me tell you, because the major PDP crisis started from Edo, which now engulfed the whole all of them. So Obaseki has not set any political record that even his party follower or his member or his loyalists will now start saying INEC or APC should take a new standard in creating a perception. What perception? Election has come and gone. The perception is people should have more orientation to come and vote. With the performance of the sitting governor today, Senator Mewolo, that everywhere, infrastructure, everywhere, people oriented policy, everywhere, people involving in government and policy. Then that is what we are crying for. And when that one comes, the people will fully begin to participate in the next election. You will see in large number where people will come out because of excitement. Because today they are now beginning to have a new Edo that is near Lagos. And we are believing by the grace of God, any other governor that comes after him and consolidate will be by Lagos, maybe the next 30 years. That is what we have wanted. But somebody was telling us, Edo not be Lagos. And it took us down drain. And see where we are. We are like complete farmers, not just normal farmers, peasant farmers. How are we supposed to be like that? I don't have internet. I don't have resources. I don't have natural endowment that we can use to refine and build a better Edo. But we have somebody who just came speaking English that we're not in the dictionary.
Okay, so let me come to Bobby now. Now, Bobby, could the PDP's legal fight galvanize their base in Edo, or does it risk further division?
What I feel is that this is not just a fight for justice for the PDP. This is a fight for justice of democracy, equity, fairness, balance in our political and legislative affairs in Edo. And what we feel is that if, by the special grace of God, justice is served at the Supreme Court, it will not just redeem the hopes of the good people of Edo State in the PDP which the majority voted for, as far as I'm concerned. But it will also resuscitate and revive the already dying hopes of Edolites and generally Nigerians in our nascent democracy. And going forward, in the 2027 elections, PDP as a party may not fly. I repeat, PDP as a party may not fly. PDP should be part of the envisaged coalition force that can be used to wage political stiff competition against the ruling class from the APC perspective. Because Bola Tinubu, for instance, is a product of coalition. Let us not forget that the APC was a coalition force that came in 2015 and they caused a major political offset to the then ruling class of the PDP at the national level. So in 2027, the majority of Edolites are beginning to say that the only way that this government in power can face a major political offset is for a coalition apparatus and superstructure political force to come on board to face it head on in 2027. But PDP as a party, considering its current political crisis from the national level to the state and even to the local government levels, may not have the political weight, may not have the political superstructure, may not have the political apparatus of state to be able to wage such stiff competition against the APC. And if PDP must get it right, they must go through a coalition process, not just for the interest of the members of the People's Democratic Party and its leadership, but for the interest of the vast majority of Nigerians that are no longer concerned about partisan affairs, but they are more concerned about the individuals that have the character, the capacity, the competence, the political sagacity, and the economic and security solutions that will help save Nigeria from, and the Bermudian majority are not just ready to subscribe to in 2027.
Well, unfortunately, our time is up. I want to thank you so much, Bobby, for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also, Collins, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, the Edo Governorship saga is a political firestorm with the Supreme Court as the next battleground. Will the PDP's fight overturn the APC's mandate, or is Okpebelu's victory locked in? Edo's future and Nigeria's electoral trust hangs in the balance, and 2027 is already casting a long shadow. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll dive into President Tinubu's whole bold vision, rather, for ECOWAS. And of course, we'll look briefly at his 2-year anniversary. To stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues? The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join LM 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
Watch Politics Now on LM 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now.
Many thanks for being with us. Well, President Bola Tinubu is marking 2 years in office at the ECOWAS Summit in Lagos, celebrating the bloc's 50th anniversary. He's declared Nigeria's worst is over, touting economic reforms and regional leadership. But with an inflation that is still high, and of course a debt at 134 trillion naira, and of course 3 Sahel nations exiting ECOWAS, skepticism is rife as the APC endorsed him for 2027. Can Tinubu deliver? Well, joining us to make sense of this is Arome Agayi.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so Arome, give us time to break things down. We'll start with Tinubu's economic reforms. Let's take a look at a snapshot of our infographic. We'll start at fuel subsidy removal, which was done in May 2023. And according to the government, it has saved 2 trillion naira annually. An exchange rate unification that was done in June 2023, naira devalued by 60%. Inflation rate, which is still high, those figures are not accurate at this time, so you forgive us for that. And public debt at 134 trillion as at the first quarter of 2025, according to the Debt Management Office. And so let's look at what's also going on in ECOWAS. ECOWAS at 50, member states 12, post Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso exit back in January. And of course, Nigeria's contribution to ECOWAS budget, 40%. And Sahel insurgency impact almost 10,000 plus deaths annually. So let's have a listen to what President Bola Tinubu had to say about his economic reforms.
In 1975, our founding father leaders envisioned a West Africa where borders unite rather than divide. A region of free movement, thriving trade, and peaceful coexistence. That vision is still alive today. Work together towards peace, prosperity, and justice.
Well, Tinubu's reforms, removing fuel subsidies and unifying the exchange rate, have saved an estimated 2 trillion naira annually, but pushed inflation, which is still high. Well, Nigerians are grappling with rising costs. Can these policies deliver long-term prosperity, or are they feeling a crisis? But before we bring in our guest, Arome Agayi, let's have a look at Tinubu's 8-point agenda. He said he was going to reform the economy to deliver sustained inclusive growth. That's number one. Then 2, he said, to strengthen national security for peace and prosperity, to boost agriculture, to achieve food security, to unlock energy and natural resources for sustainable development. He said, enhance infrastructure and transportation as enablers of growth. He said, to focus on education, health, and social investment as essential pillars of development. He said, accelerate diversification through industrialization, digitization, creative arts, manufacturing, and innovation. And the final thing he said, as you can see on your screen, to improve governance for effective service delivery. So let's get to our first talking point, looking at the economic reforms. Are Tinubu's policies delivering results? That's the talking point. So let's bring in our guest. Arame again joins us from Lagos, Nigeria. Arame, thank you so much for being with us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Tinubu claims the worst is over, but with inflation so high, I think 23%, how do you assess the impact of his reforms on everyday Nigerians?
Thank you very much, Mona, for having me. Very importantly, I really don't know why we are trying to lock ourselves in this prison of unrealistic projection. And I say that because the impact of the reforms of President Bola Tinubu on everything that has to do with the social and economic life of Nigerians is quite harsh. It has never been this difficult in Nigeria before this time. We also were witness to the economy under Buhari. We were witness to the economy under Goodluck Jonathan, under Obasanjo, and the likes of them. And partly, you could even look at even some few. There are parts of the military era that is still better off compared to, economically better off compared to what we have witnessed. When you compare it to what we say that democracy would deliver to us, there is a mismatch. There is a mismatch in the entire conversation. So for me, the impact on President Bola Tinubu's reforms on the social and economic life of Nigerians is quite harsh. There are more people that are going out of job, more people going out of job than before now. There are more companies across the countries that are moving away from Nigeria because the ease of doing business in Nigeria is something that is not favorable to many companies operating in Nigeria. So a lot of companies are moving from Nigeria to other parts of the world. You will see that borrowing today in Nigeria to do business is something that no businessman would want to do because of the level of the interest rate. So all of this put together, you will see that we are not heading, we are not, pragmatically, we are not doing well as a nation. Poverty, multidimensional poverty. Nigeria is being plunged back into multidimensional poverty compared to what was under his predecessor.
Are talking to us about what are they specifically that you've used to rate the president?
That's one. Number two, how many jobs have been created since President Bola Tinubu came into power? I saw a statistics recently, a particular research that was done, or a statistics that is being released, counting that more Nigerians have gained jobs when President Bola Tinubu came into office. Now, counting those that are doing online jobs, those remote jobs and all of that, how much, when they are looking at all of these things, is it the Nigerian economy that created those jobs? Those jobs are how some people are taking advantage of it and doing that. And even at that, you would also see how they are trying to also shrink some of those spaces where some of these young people find those jobs to do. For example, some that trade cryptocurrencies online and do some of the digital jobs online. Now, what policies have the president put in place to also protect some of these persons that are doing these jobs online, to also see that those environment also create a very conducive atmosphere for them to also thrive as Nigerians that are doing business within those particular digital platforms. So that's number one, unemployment number one. Number two, Nigerian educational system have never been this bad before. Look at what is happening. You will agree with me how parents are carrying lantern with weapons to go and protect their children, writing WAEC. This happened it's not even far away from, it's not even many days away from this conversation. So when you are talking of the economy, are you talking about the Naira and Kobo? We are bringing everything in totality. Everything that has to do with the human life, the social and the economic. So that's on the educational side. Education is poor in Nigeria. They are brain drain the policy that is reframing people from going abroad. Health workers that are moving away from Nigeria abroad to go and look for better job opportunities in the United States, United Arab Emirates, in Saudi Arabia, and some other part of the world.
Now, he touts himself as on his initiative on student loan as progress regarding education in Nigeria. So is that something that is noteworthy for you, or you still think that that is not laudable?
Monal, I want to ask you a question. Have we, now, when the president is reading out these statistics and saying the number of student loan and all of those things, how many persons have accessed this student loan? Is it the same loan that we have heard, or there are speculations around it that 70 billion of that particular student loan is being taken by some persons that are related to him? So how many persons across Nigeria have accessed the student loan? What mechanism have been put in place? See, the truth is, right, we have come of this age that the presidency should not be thinking that Nigerians are full. We play with data, we look at data, we see statistics on a daily basis. Who is assessing this student loan? How many persons have accessed the student loan? So if the president is saying that I have made liberal the student loan for people to access, now can he boldly, or the presidency boldly, come up with a statistics to show to us that these are XYZ number of persons that have accessed student loan across the country, in Gombe State, in Niger State, in Lagos State, in Kogi State, or any part of the country? Let's know the number of persons that have accessed this particular student loan. Then we can start talking about student loan that is being made available by the presidency. Now, you are talking about a student loan. Where would those people graduate to? Graduate to come and look for work? Graduate to come and, stay on the streets looking for a job on a daily basis, or what? Where are the opportunities we have created for them to access job? What about those ones that are coming out of school? Where are the jobs that they are accessing? So the president and his crew should stop fooling Nigerians and saying student loan and all of those shenanigans. There is no student loan anywhere. It's an avenue they created for themselves to siphon Nigerians' resources. And there is nothing other than saying that they are looting Nigerian, milking Nigerian dry. There's no student loan anywhere. So they should come up with the statistics. And I challenge them to this, that come up with a statistics of how many persons have accessed this particular student loan. And then we can begin to vet it and see if it is true that this student loan is actually out there for people to for young Nigerians to access.
Now, Arame, how can the president address the issue of public frustration, especially rising costs, to regain trusts ahead of 2027?
The first thing that I will tell the president is that he should begin to lay off some of his advisors and some member of his team, because those ones are not even helping him to do anything meaningfully well. And again, number two, I don't want to also even regain his trust for 2027, because for me as a person, as a Nigerian, I don't want a President Tinubu to come into power in 2027. Boldly, I am saying that. Why? Because he's not in tune with the reality of our common time. He's not in tune with that reality. He's not in tune with the sufferings of Nigerian. He's not in tune with what the average Nigerians is going through on the street on a daily basis. He's not in tune with the cry of the Nigerian citizens, of the young people in this country. So we are not looking forward to him coming back in 2027. And the reason they are basking and saying all manner of things how they will return back is because we have an electoral process that is flawed. We have an electoral process people manning our electoral process that we cannot trust for anything. For example, why should the Professor Yakubu still be in this country without being jailed? Of all the electoral crime and all the electoral issues we had in the last elections, he collected money that he was going to make the electoral process, good, fair, and improved. What were the improvement? The money he had collected, have they done audit of that money for us to know how that money was used? So for me, I think we're not looking forward to a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu returning back in 2027. Rather, he should concentrate on fixing his mistakes, fixing the things that had gone wrong, and then forgetting about 2027, because 2027, Nigerians are going to speak. Despite what INEC will do, we know how INEC is being bought over. Yes, INEC is bought over across. It's a reality. But Nigerians will speak in 2027. So it's not a conversation of coming back in 2027. It should be a conversation of how he can concentrate on righting the wrongs, the mistakes he has done. And number one thing that I would suggest that he should do, if I will advise him, is number one, he should lay off some of his team. They are not helping him. They are not giving him a proper foresight of what he should do as a person.
Now, let's move away from the president's 2-year anniversary and, of course, move to the issue of ECOWAS. Now, the exit of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso has rocked ECOWAS, with Nigeria funding 40% of its budget. Tinubu calls for dialogue and, as we've heard, aims to unify the bloc. But can he stabilize it while tackling domestic challenges? Now, Arame, let me come back to you now. We're moving to our second talking point. Can Tinubu stabilize ECOWAS amid the Sahel nations' exit? Now, Arame, how should Nigeria leverage on its 40% budget that it's offering to ECOWAS to address some of this crisis and restore regional unity as the president, has called for?
Thank you very much for this very interesting question. And I think if I'll quickly point out that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not in the best position to negotiate the return of the three countries, the Sahelian countries. He's not in the best position to negotiate that. Why? Because there is no trust for him. And this is owing to the fact that he's in bed with the France government. He's a friend of Macron. And the fundamental issue in the Sahelian countries that have left ECOWAS is the fact that France has plunged this country. France has milked life out of this country over the years that France have exerted influence in these three countries, in the Sahelian countries, in the Francophone countries. So if to negotiate these countries back into ECOWAS, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should step aside from that, because number one, there is nothing he said that these guys will trust him. It will be just like we used to play that it is the voice of Jacob, is the voice of Jacob, but the hand of Esau. That is what will be. It will be France speaking through President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to negotiate that. That's number one. So if they truly mean business, negotiating and ensuring return and fostering that regional unity and regional cooperativeness again, then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should step aside from that entire negotiations and then allow somebody else, like John Mahama of Ghana, to bridge that particular gap. That's number one. Then number two, we need to also begin to address the fundamental issue as well, to addressing the inherent security issues within those countries. Now, if until we prioritize that, there is nothing that these guys will listen, because they took over power on the basis, and they sever from ECOWAS on the basis that ECOWAS is not paying attention to the domestic issues, and they are very bold to speak when they take over power. But when the democratically elected government are in power and they are overdoing and they are having an overbearing influence on everything that around that country, ECOWAS is not stepping in. And I will give a case in point. For example, we have what is his name? The Waterer of Cote d'Ivoire. How long has he been in power? ECOWAS is not stepping in addressing issues of tenure elongations. Yet, ECOWAS is talking about somebody that is taking over power. See, it is not about military rule. We should talk about the delivery of public services to the people. Again, we should also look at what are the people saying. ECOWAS says that they are ECOWAS of the people. But the people of Burkina, they are saying that we want the military government or Traoré to stay in power. Can ECOWAS also begin to think of respecting her citizens? Is it in Nigeria that the ECOWAS led the ECOWAS president, the ECOWAS president himself, whatever Tinubu chairman himself, does not respect the yearning of her citizens? Haven't we seen how the Tinubu-led government is clamping down on protesters? Haven't we seen of how they have bought over the legislative arm of the government, the legislative rascality? That are those things that respect the principles of democracy? So the people have lost faith in democracy, and they are saying we are not concerned about democracy. We want a leader that is pragmatic, that is able to deliver public services. So what they should focus on is how can we ensure that democratically elected governments are held accountable and they begin to deliver public services to the people.
Now, what risk does Nigeria face if ECOWAS continues to fracture under Tinubu's leadership?
First of all, we lose that big brother rule influence that we have within the region. Number two, it begins to weaken ECOWAS, and a weakened ECOWAS is not a stronger Nigeria. It's depleting the Nigerians' effort. Number two, we have been having a whole conversations about regional trade. Ensuring regional trade, that you also know that is going to weaken regional trade between Nigeria and some of her West African sisters. Yes, it's vice versa. They gain from us, we also gain from them. Number three, at the continental front, it's also going to have a huge impact on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that we are also looking at, because a lot of things are going to fall through the crack. It's not going to ensure that regional and continental integration in terms of trade and ease of doing business that we are looking at. So for me, I think for us to assert that our regional influence as a body, it will be very important for us for us as a country, as in Nigeria, to demonstrate, walk the talk rather than saying and not doing. And what do I mean by that? Show the example. Show to the people of West Africa, show to the people of Africa that, yes, when we mean democracy, we are committed to ensuring that the values of democracy is being adhered to the latter, not abusing the same thing that we speak for.
Now, because of time, Arame, let's move on to 2027 ambitions. Is Tinubu's optimism resonating with Nigerians for 2027? The APC has endorsed the president, banking on his optimistic vision, but with economic hardship and public skepticism reflected. I mean, we've done our reporting here in Abuja, just quite divisive on how people really feel about this administration. Arame, what role can new political platforms play in shaping voter priorities ahead of 2027?
Well, I would say that, first of all, APC is not a political party. It's a gathering of looters. I would not excuse myself for that word. It's a gathering of looter, and we have heard of what Adams Oshomole said, that whatever you do when you come to APC, you are clean. So it's not a when was the last time that they held a national convention? When was the last time that the national the National Working Committee of the APC held a meeting? So for me, the parties that I can actually refer to in Nigeria, major parties that I can refer to that we have political parties, is PDP and Labour Party. And till tomorrow, these are the political parties. So APC is just a garment and a gathering of looters. That's number one. Then for the fear for the Nigerian democracy, our democracy is getting weaker, and we are laying foundation for a military takeover if it is not careful.
Now, you seem to be very confident in the APC, Arame, but, I mean, talking about the PDP and the Labour Party, given their leadership crisis, why is that not really getting your attention?
Now, I want to look at it far away from them. This creates, I want to look at it from the opportunity it creates for new political parties, new political stalwarts to emerge, especially the young people. And wanna take it or leave it. Let's take it from me that 2027 holds a lot of surprises. You will see that most of these National Assembly members that are swinging to APC, some of them will lose their seats. Just watch it. Some of the governors that are moving to APC in 2027, some of them will lose their seats. Just keep finger crossed and see what's going to happen in 2027. So it creates an opportunity for the emergence of new political parties. Though this also creates an opportunity to bring in people that have clear slates, people that have clean slates to pilot the affairs of political parties, so that the government in that sense will not have anything to use against them. What is happening that we are seeing defection is that some persons have EFCC cases and a lot of cases here and there, and they have no options when they are being threatened for them to move over to the party that can protect their estate. So people are moving. But this creates opportunity. If I were PDP, for example, the likes of Atiku should step aside. Atiku had served this country. He has done his bidding. This is the time for him to now come in as a mentor to young people to lead this country. If I were Atiku, right, I would muzzle every energy within me to support a Peter Obi, for example, or bring in another young person from the north and bring him forth to run this country. This is no time. Nigeria has gone beyond. We have gone beyond the time that old blood should be ruling us. Enough is enough. Let somebody within this age bracket from 40 down to 50 or 60 thereabout should be the one to run this country. Enough of it.
Well, Arome, our time is almost up. Thank you so much. You've expressed optimism for 2027. Let's see how it goes. You're clearly not a fan of the president, despite everything that, his administration has said has been done. Well, President Tinubu's vision for Nigeria and ECOWAS is bold, but with economic woes and regional fractures, the path to 2027 is still fraught with challenges. But do they see from that particular perspective? Can the president deliver the prosperity Nigerians demand, or will new political voices reshape the future? Talking about coalition. Well, many thanks for being with us, Arome, on the show today.
Thank you very much, Mona. In all, I wish Nigeria is safe right into 2027, and let us open our eyes to vote the right candidate who can help us out of this squalor of poverty. Thank you very much, Mona.
Well, viewers at home, that's all we can take for the show tonight. Many thanks for watching. Do join us next week for more unfiltered political discussion. My name is Morno Balagbobo. Many thanks for watching.